Now, the government has admitted that migrant hotels will need to be used for years to come, despite their election pledge, of course, to scrap them. And a new Treasury report also finds that hotels have made record profits from government contracts, housing around 38,000 migrants. And that's not including the additional 66,000 others who are being housed in other forms of accommodation. And how the government planning to end the use of hotels? Well, now it looks like they'll simply allocate some of the 1.5 million new homes they're planning to build. Another day where the lunatics have taken over the asylum system. Let's speak now with GB News' home and security editor, Mark White. Mark, a 4-star hotel for a newly arrived illegal is one thing, but to give a new build to a new arrival takes the biscuit.
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't get a new build, it's still going to potentially impact those that might have moved into the accommodation that someone who's gone into the new build is then taking up. So, yes, there's a knock-on effect there. We've had 1,500 migrants who've come across the channel in just the past 6 days, adding to the numbers who will need to be put in the hotels. In fact, we can show you some video now of one of the latest arrivals. Many of them who cross have this desire to, those are the wrong images. We just want to show you the shot of the migrant who came across the channel trying to get into hotel accommodation. He came through from Afghanistan. That's him there. You can see him on the boat doing as so many of them do, which is posting their dainty little social media videos there, and that's him making that journey. And here is him in his hotel room at an average cost of £145 a night for these migrant hotels now, with 1,500 having crossed. That's almost £250,000 just for the last cohort who came across. And you can see all the flags on the left-hand side of the screen there. These are the countries that he's been through. Afghanistan to Pakistan, India, Turkey's gone to the Western Balkans, as well as then coming across Italy, Switzerland, through France and eventually to the UK, now settled into that hotel. And that, of course, will anger many people who see the money that we're having to expend on the hotels. Something else that's going to, I'm sure, raise the hackles of our audience are these images. This is Le Touquet on the French side of the channel, and this is the practice of taxi boats, which is something really that's shot to prominence in the last year or so. The boats, the small boats, come in to the shore. The migrants wade out to get onto these small boats. But what's I think key about this is you can see the French police launch just off the shore as well, to the left-hand side of that shot, the migrant boat on the right-hand side of the image there. And it's doing nothing, absolutely nothing to intervene and to try to push that migrant boat back to shore. Now, this comes just weeks after the French Interior Minister met with Yvette Cooper in Le Touquet and spoke about the need to change the law so that they could intervene to do just what we're talking about there, to use that police launch to get in close to that boat and to push it ashore. Because the fact is, you can see by the dozens of migrants who are out there, they're up to their waist in water, but that's it. And that shallow sort of sea continues for quite a bit out there. So the French want to be able to push the migrant boats back. But clearly, despite what the Interior Minister has said he wants to do, that's not happening. This imagery was just taken yesterday, and it shows the continuation of this practice, Martin, of the taxi boat coming into shore, of migrants just wading out there, and the only people in the water are French rescue services there in case some of the migrants should get into trouble as they try to clamber aboard those small boats.
You know, Mark White, these videos make an absolute mockery. They make an absolute mockery of what the United Kingdom has become. Look at them. They're up to their waists in water. I've had deeper baths than that, Mark White. I've been in deeper swimming pools than that, and they're getting ferried into British waters by waiting vessels. It's farcical. It's utterly farcical, and every single one of those asylum seekers costs British taxpayer £41,000 per year. New figures out today from the Public Policy Research, the Institute for Public Policy Research. Mark White, absolutely astonishing. And yeah, I bet you a lot of people watching at home just aren't surprised anymore. This is the new normal. Mark, incredible pictures. Thank you very, very much for getting them and talking them through as was on the show today, Mark White.
Well, let's speak now to former Conservative MP Michael Fabricant. Michael, thank you very much indeed for coming on the show. Good to have you. Michael, should we have ever been using hotels to house migrants, to house people who came across the Channel? Surely there was always a cheaper way to do this. It's a bit ridiculous.
Well, the cheapest way to do it, of course, would have been to send them back, although that's easier said than done. You know, the trouble is people take this country for suckers. And I remember William Hague came up with a great slogan years ago, and he said, Britain should be a safe haven, but not a soft touch. And I'm afraid soft touch is exactly what we've become. And incidentally, since Keir Starmer said that, we shouldn't be using, this was back in June, we shouldn't be using accommodation, and that he would stop the boats by stopping them in their tracks, to use his words, there are now a further 8,000 more asylum seekers living in hotels. But his latest plan to use the 1.5 million homes that are going to be built is outrageous.
Yes, I'm glad you picked up on that, because we're told, well, we know from our own experience, from friends and family, that it's near impossible in some areas of this country to get on the housing ladder on an average or even a good salary. And that's even if you are buying with another person. I mean, it's crazy. And then to hear that actually some people who entered this country illegally may well be put up in one of these new homes that's being built, of course, again, courtesy of the taxpayer. It's going to stick in the craw in communities where this happens.
Yeah, absolutely right. And of course, Tom Harwood has been quite a campaigner, I'll say that to him, to spare his blushes, on the point that there is such a shortage of home, particularly for young people. And now they're saying that asylum seekers should be using these homes is quite outrageous, in my opinion, and just typical of this government, really.
But of course, the reason that we're here in the first place, having to try and divvy up where on earth these people are going to go once they're in the country, whether it's hotels or houses or ex-RAF bases or barges off the coast of the south of England, the only reason is that these people are coming across in the first place. And Michael, I want you to react to some new footage that GB News has obtained today, which shows just what is going on some of these beaches in and around Calais. It's quite extraordinary to watch. We can see, we know that the British government has given tens, hundreds of millions of pounds to the French to police these borders. And despite all of the money that has been given for year after year, the different rounds of negotiation that have been entered into, let's have a look at how it's all turning out. This is one of those beaches in northern France, and there's a new tactic from the people smugglers, which is they don't bring the boat to shore. The boat is a few yards out to sea. We can see it there on our screens. And the migrants wade out and get on the boat. But because it's on the water, the French authorities don't go near it, don't touch it, don't see it as their problem.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. Isn't that a police boat just looking at them, watching,
Yep.
just not helping at all to send them back to shore?
Yeah, I mean, that is what's happening there. The French authorities, you know, they're standing there in their wetsuits, they've got all the gear, but absolutely no idea how to stop these people crossing. Or perhaps they do have an idea, but they're just unwilling to do what they need to do. And that's the issue.
I think they are unwilling, because while the Royal Navy say they don't want to push the boats at all when they're in the middle of the English Channel because the boat would just capsize and sink, they're just literally a few yards out. And you've got there a police boat. It's in your shot, just looking. And the police boat could nudge the boat back. And if they fell out, well, they're not going to drown because they're only in a few feet of water. As you can see, they're up to their knees, some of them up to their waist, but no further. Look, there you can see the police boat just sitting there. And it looks there as if a policeman's playing with them, splashing. It's quite extraordinary, actually. And really, we should be doing a lot more. And of course, this hasn't been helped by the fact that Labour got rid of the Rwanda programme. The riots in Dublin was testimony to the fact that people were leaving the United Kingdom, going across the island because they didn't want the risk of being sent off to Rwanda. So it was working even before anybody was actually deporting there. The deterrent worked, and yet what did Labour do? They got rid of it. But this French movie is absolutely incredible. I mean, well done, GB News, for getting this filmed.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Michael Fabricant, for speaking over those images so beautifully. Former Conservative MP, thank you very much. I mean, it does feel as though Labour are going back to square one. So the Conservatives came up with their Rwanda scheme. It was almost ready to implement. Yes, it hadn't been a smooth ride, but it was something, a deterrent that was meant to be a deterrent. Now they're sort of looking around thinking, maybe we do need that deterrent. Or should we send the failed ones to Albania? But have you got that deal sorted? No, we haven't got that yet. What about Serbia? You know? I mean, starting from square one.
Pick any safe third country as long as it doesn't begin with an R and end in an A.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, this is Good Afternoon
So
Britain
moral.
on GB News.